I said to him once, I said, you know, I think you should take the kid, my kid, and I'll go and retreat. And Rinpoche said to me, okay. And I was so shocked. I thought, oh, that was so easy. And then he said, or you could do it the fast way. And then I knew that the fast way is using everything as the path. It's everything, every good thing, every bad thing. It's every bite of your food. It's every time you're sick. It's every time you get insulted. It's every time you get a compliment. I mean, why do we like the compliments and hate the insults? Why do we do that? It's just wind on vocal cords. Why do we do that? And yet we do, for sure. I mean, I am for sure I'm going to do that. If somebody says something nice, I'm going to be flattered. And if somebody says something bad, I'm going to think, oh no, did I make a mistake? What did I do? Because we listen to the words. We don't hear the wind on the vocal cords. We don't hear that it's just sound. We impose meaning. So I think everything is the way to go about it.
I'm Olivia Clementine, and this is Love and Liberation. Today our guest is Lama Tsering Everest. Born in the US, Lama Tsering has served Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche as his translator for more than 11 years. After completing a 3-year retreat in 1995, she was ordained as a Lama and recognized by Rinpoche as a holder of the Red Tara lineage. In the same year, she was invited to teach in Brazil, where she moved to shortly after. Her warm and humorous style reflects Rinpoche's own humor and empathy, with focus on cultivating compassion, training the mind, and applying the dharma in daily life. Lama Tsering is the resident Lama and director of Chagdud Gompa, Otsoling in Sao Paulo, and is currently coordinating the construction of Otsoling's temple in Kosha, along with her husband, Lama Padma Norbu. And for anyone that's unfamiliar with Chagdud Rinpoche, who we'll be speaking about in today's interview here and there, he passed away in 2002, and he belongs to the last generation of teachers to have been fully trained in Tibet in the Vajrayana teachings and methods. He held teaching lineages primarily in the Nyingma tradition of Tibetan Vajrayana. How did you come upon the Dharma path until your meeting with Chagdud Rinpoche?
I was initially, I wasn't at all interested in Dharma. I was kind of shamed into going to a teaching with a friend who I thought I would lose if I didn't go. And I had tried to avoid it for a long time, and finally I figured I better go or he wasn't going to be my friend anymore. And I was pleasantly surprised when I heard the teachings. I thought they were astute. And then that led to listening to teachings more, and I still didn't really feel myself some kind of faithful person, but I was fascinated because I thought it was just so smart. Everything about it was just so smart, and I really appreciated that. And then not long after that, I met Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche in Ashland, Oregon. And it was very nice, and but it was a slowly developed relationship with the Dharma. Wasn't something quick.
And then what was the turn of events where you've devoted your whole life, it seems like, to the Dharma? Is this true?
Well, I think the purpose of life is the Dharma. And when asked, somebody asked Rinpoche that once, what is the purpose of life? And he said, the purpose of life is to prepare to die. And I was kind of shy. I said, oh, Rinpoche, come on, that's so heavy. Can't we talk about love or something like that? And he was sort of surprised that I tried to fend off that answer. And he said, no, it's really the purpose of life is to prepare to die. That's the most important day. And so, I had this advantage of learning with someone like that, who was himself fully, completely dedicated to the teachings of the Buddha and the Dharma. And I ended up having a job to do because I was helping him with his language. And so that put me in his company all the time, which was, can't tell you how fortunate that was. And so I had a chance to listen and learn. And also, in my own personality is such that I don't just buy things. I research, and I also question and get answers, and I think about things a lot. And so I did offer my own considerations to everything I heard. And that's how I really came to realize there's nothing more important than Dharma. Everything else comes and goes. And the Dharma, the meaning of the truth of our mind, is the really crucial issue in life. And of course, kindness and love that is elucidated by the experience of the nature of your mind, then you come to realize that it is only kindness that really matters.
Will you say more about that?
About kindness?
Yeah, just the recognition of that is that's what matters once you really come down to it within yourself.
Yeah, well, that was what the Dalai Lama said, that when he was asked, what is the Dharma, what is the Buddhist belief, he said, it's kindness. It's just basically kindness. And I think that that's what really is proven, because it doesn't mean that you're always, insipidly kind. It's not about stylized kindness. It's about trying to help them work towards something that really benefits them. And sometimes you have to be a little bit tough with that. It might not seem so kind, but it is kind. It's always kind to bring people to a greater understanding, that they could come to a greater understanding of themselves and their mind and their world. That's really kind.
If somebody is struggling with the tendency of grasping and pushing away, fearing, what's something one can do within their mind to gain more pure motivation and gain more dedication, back into their practice, back into settling the mind?
It always helps if you have a good background in listening to the teachings. But what you hear when you listen, what you hear again and again, is that everything is impermanent. There's nothing that we can hold on to. And I think that it's really powerful. It doesn't mean you can't love someone or something, but you can't keep it. So if you realize it's a memory waiting to happen, so then you can enjoy it and you can share it and you can be kind with it. But, it's silly to think that it won't change. And so there's a battle to be done about that, because we have to face that, and we have a lot of attachment. We don't want to it's like sour medicine. We don't want to think about our happy moments being short or our happy people being impermanent. But that's the case. And it's very important because it gives you maturity to understand impermanence. And it doesn't work to just kind of like putting a Band-Aid on your arm being ripped off or something. It doesn't work as a superficial, you know, a comment that, oh, it's impermanent, blah, blah. That doesn't work. You have to really think about it and think about it, and deeply come to a, a resolution in yourself about it. And that doesn't mean you try to get rid of stuff. Things come and things go, and then things come again. And we're always in this kind of movement. And so whether you're attached or averse, either way, you're kind of stuck when everything's moving.
You started off at the beginning saying what Rinpoche said the point of dharma is, right? Like every day is preparing for our death. And what can we do as, commoners, practitioners, but maybe not realized, to relate with death and relate to the possibility or the current reality of sickness?
Well, it is true that we've kind of had it put our nose in it. And maybe false contentment is shattered a bit. And maybe that's not a bad thing. And I think that a lot of people, new Dharma people and mature Dharma people, are benefiting by these days. Because, first of all, we don't have as much distraction. There's not a lot to do. I mean, there's only so much Netflix to watch before your eyeballs turn into ooze. But the idea that we are impermanent, we're mortal. We're not going to last forever. Our breaths are numbered. We really don't know how long we have. We don't know when, we don't know how, but we do know that we will die. We just maybe ignore that, thinking that we're happier if we don't think about it. But Rinpoche taught me, he said, I should think of death like a little bird that sits on my shoulder. And it's there all the time. But one day it will peck my cheek. And that'll be the day I die. We have to be that familiar, that close, because otherwise we're startled. It's not good to be surprised. You should know. And you should be prepared. That's why I think that Dharma is sort of kind of warming up in a lot of people's minds. It's because there is things to be done. There are ways you can prepare. You can listen to teachings. You can understand your life and yourself better. And so that, why not do that? And one day this will change too. It's not going to be this way forever. But that doesn't mean you just wait for it to all go away and like come back to normal. That's not going to happen. We don't return to things. We find the next day, the next moment. But I think it's very valuable for us to remember our mortality. It gives you an option. If you don't remember mortality, then you kind of get stuck in this false contentment. And then you're not prepared when you really need to be. It's not like you're going to be morose about it. I mean, impermanence isn't new, is it? Why are we so surprised by that as a formal teaching? Why do we fight that? That's not new. It isn't even really Buddhism. It's just the facts of life, that night turns into day and day turns into night. This doesn't stay the same. Even for 1 second, it doesn't stay the same. And so to know that gives you a real leg up on utilizing your life in the best way that you can. And of course, to have compassion, because People are really trying to keep it, and it can't be kept. And compassion for the fact that they suffer so much with impermanence.
Can you share about ignorance and why it is so sticky? You know, it just can feel so obvious, like, why can't we just get out of the ignorance? The reality makes so much more sense. And so what is it that keeps us in the stickiness of it?
For us, we all have this problem. We feel like it's true. We go by our perceptions. We don't trust the instruments like the great masters and the gurus and the Buddha. It doesn't, we're always second guessing the instruments and the story they tell. This is because of habit. Because of habit, we misunderstand the phenomena. We misunderstand the experience. And we wrongly assume that we are separate from everything else. And as a result, like an unbelievable avalanche of secondary conditions occur because of that mistaken perception and the belief in it. And that we carry on with the belief in it. And we die. And this is due to the fact that there's so much momentum and so much history. Seems like everybody believes in it, so why wouldn't we? We don't even question it, actually. I mean, until somebody kind of knocks on our forehead and says, "What are you thinking?" This is, what are you thinking? Then we start to look at it and we begin to realize, oh, but then we still have this habit. And that habit is really, it's tricky. It takes a lot of exerted effort and wisdom and application to change those habits. But it's doable. That's why the path is here. It's why we have the path, is because it is changeable. But takes concentration and effort and compassion to really change it. And it's not easy. I think you really have to go through the process of listening to the teachings and contemplating the teachings and relaxing your mind and contemplating again and relaxing your mind and contemplating again. Rinpoche used to explain that the mind is a little bit like a piece of paper that's been left rolled up in the closet for, 2 decades with big rubber bands on it. And when you finally try to lay it out, it doesn't lay out flat because it has the habit of being rolled, even when you remove the rubber bands. And so the practice is something like, putting rocks on the corners or rolling it backwards. My favorite is a steam iron. It's really, you work with it. It is by nature flat, but it's under this condition of habit and confusion. And so I don't think it works to leap to these things.
What's been your experience of your path?
I think I'm like anybody else. You have a good day, you have a bad day. I think it's a mistake to think that the practice is going to fix your day. I think a lot of people do that. Baby Buddhists do that. They think, if I meditate, I should be happy. But I don't think that's a proper expectation. You're going to be happy if you have karma for happy, and you're going to be disappointed because it won't last. So then you're going to be unhappy anyway. So I think that the idea that practice is going to produce it should produce something that, you make it. I don't think that that's really how it works. I think that it's more like letting the life teach you. If it's a good day, then it's a good day with practice. If it's a bad day, it's a bad day with practice. And I think I had that opportunity. Not that I don't have bad days, for sure. But it's like I watched that with Rinpoche. I watched him. You know, he was a very busy fellow. He wasn't he was always doing a puja or a ceremony, but he was busy. If he wasn't practicing, he was painting or sculpting or going through books or seeing people or advising people. He was never, ever not busy. And I said to him once, I said, I think you should take the kid, my kid, and I'll go and retreat. And Rinpoche said to me, okay. And I was so shocked. I thought, oh, that was so easy. And then he said, or you could do it the fast way. And then I knew that the fast way is using everything as the path. It's everything, every good thing, every bad thing. It's every bite of your food. It's every time you're sick. It's every time you get insulted. It's every time you get a compliment. I mean, why do we like the compliments and hate the insults? Why do we do that? It's just wind on vocal cords. Why do we do that? And yeah, we do. For sure. I mean, I am for sure I'm going to do that. If somebody says something nice, I'm going to be flattered. And if somebody says something bad, I'm going to think, oh no, did I make a mistake? What did I do? Because we listen to the words. We don't hear the wind on the vocal cords. We don't hear that it's just sound. We impose meaning. So I think everything is the way to go about it. And I can't say that I came up with that out of any quality. I came up with that because I watched him do it. I watched how it's done. She was very clear. There was no off of practice. And I used to say things like, look, Rinpoche, come on, let's go to the beach. Let's do something else. Let's have a day off. And he'd look at me and he'd say, what would I do? I would say, we'll get beer. We put the dog in the car. We take a picnic. We go to the beach. He said, does the sun take a day off? It was always so disappointing, those kind of comments, when I wanted to go to the beach. But there isn't off from practice.
Would you be willing to share some stories about Chagdud Rinpoche?
I mean, I feel sorry once in a while that I don't have him anymore, but I get so instantaneously shamed by those kind of thoughts because Rinpoche is not missing. He's not gone. Great masters don't actually leave. They just become everything. And everything I hear what he would say or how he would laugh at me and what a ding dong I am. I can hear that in this thing that I think that when you have a teacher like that, one of the reasons why we need these teachers is because they do become kind of your marrow. And then you have a chance to be who they would be. That, like we pray in our Tara practice, whoever sees me or hears me or touches me or remembers me. I mean, he really was like that. And so I don't know. I think that there is an advantage, and I really hope and pray that everyone finds a guru like that, a teacher like that, that really, not that they're always easy or even that they're correct by ordinary standards. Like I could have said, Rinpoche had limitations, like he couldn't drive the car. but Rinpoche's eyes didn't quite go exactly straight. And he really wanted to drive the car. So one day my only quality was that I could drive the car. And he liked that I could drive the car, and I drove the car very fast. In Montana, we don't have any speed limit. And so I was used to driving very fast, and Rinpoche loved that. He loved to go fast. And so he really wanted to drive the car. So one day I let him drive the car on the very small road where there was no traffic. And I realized Rinpoche couldn't see. He wasn't able to really see very far. I said, okay, tell me when you see the sign. And then the sign's closer and closer and closer. I said, Rinpoche, when do you see the sign? And then like we were just about to pass it. He said, oh, there it is. I was like, ah! He really couldn't see. He couldn't see. And that was, but he was a Buddha. And so it's not always that everything is right, but that perfection is there. And that's what you have to find in a teacher. When you find that, you should never look away from them.
Will you say more about that? The finding, like the Buddha aspect? What did you see in him? What did you witness when you were with him that made you recognize he had those qualities?
I think I didn't know to look for those qualities. I was so dumb. I had no idea about dharma. I had no idea that I didn't look for dharma. I didn't look for anybody like to be somebody for me. And I think the thing that warmed me about him was that he wasn't angry about China. He had compassion. He had compassion for conquerors. We haven't been conquered. I only knew that because of Native American history, in my family, about what it is to be conquered. And I know how angry they all are. How angry I could be, and I'm just about as white as you can get. And I asked him one time, I said, are you medicated? Are you drinking at night and I don't know about it? Why are you okay? Why aren't you angry about this? And I do believe Rinpoche was hurt, and he felt terrible loss of his country and his monastery and his family and friends and the adversities they went through and everything. It was really awful ordeal. But angry. And when I really pushed him about it, he said, compassion need. And he really believed that. He really meant that. He meant compassion for them. And that was really amazing to me. And then I thought he was, unique. And I wanted to understand more.